Hey guys, thank you for tuning in. My name is Ben, and it's time to man up. Today, what I want to talk about is something very important that all of us should do, and I know a lot of us don't. This is why I'm holding this apple. An apple a day keeps the doctor away, right? But that's not what I want to talk about. Let's say this apple represents truth, right? And a lot of us are dependent on a pastor, a preacher, somebody on TV, a book you're reading, whatever it is, to gain your insight on who God is. The problem with that is that a lot of times our revelation or how we listen to God is very based on our heart and the condition of our heart. So a lot of things will influence what you get, the revelation you get out of it, based on your background, the way you were brought up, your culture, life experiences. All these things affect the way you view God, because what God is telling you, your heart is receiving it and decoding it in a different way. So that's why it's so important to listen, and not only to listen. I'm not saying don't listen to your pastors. What I'm saying is examine everything that they're saying, not in a questioning, right? Because you should be able to trust your pastor. But a lot of times, sometimes we don't even know. Sometimes I don't even know that I'm spitting out culture or I'm spitting out life experience and I'm labeling it God. That's why it's so important for you to have your own relationship with God every single day, examining everything that everybody says, not for the fact of posturing yourself over them or thinking they're not good enough, but just for the sake of finding the truth. Because a lot of times what happens is that you get presented with this truth, right? And they hand it to you. And in the process, before it exchanges from his hand or her hand into your hand, all of a sudden comes something and you don't notice. You can take the apple and say, you know what? This is completely truth. You don't examine it. You just grab it. Here you go. Take a bite out of it. And you continue to eat, continue to eat, continue to eat. And I should spit this out, huh? And all of a sudden, you get to the bottom of it and you realize that in between there, you have something lodged in there. Something that perverted this apple, because perversion, remember, deceitfulness is just perversion of truth. They just shifted a little bit. Remember, the devil is a deceiver. Not only is he a great liar, but the reason he's so good is because he can take truth like this and just pervert it, twist it up to make it mean something very different. And at first you might take the first bite and you think nothing of it. But as you're getting deeper and deeper into it, then all of a sudden this hurtful pin begins to eat into you. It begins to cut into your flesh, and it begins to damage what was meant for good. And that happens a lot when we're listening to prosperity preachings, where a lot of times they're just focused on the money and they don't really do a good job at explaining what's the reason of prosperity for us to expand the kingdom. Because we all know we need money, whether you're in missions, wherever you're in a church, everybody needs money, because that's the system that the man created. God didn't create it. Man created this system of money that we now need. So we have to examine everything, because remember, again, if I would have examined it in the beginning, I would have noticed that there was this pin in there and took it out and ate it. The devil wins in two ways. If you either don't examine it completely, start to bite into it, take it all as truth, and unexpectedly that will begin to jab and cut into you and damage. Or you do the second thing. You examine it, you find it, you take it out, but then you toss the whole thing and say, oh, you're a deceiver, I'm going to throw it out. But at the same time, what you're doing is tossing out all this truth with a little bit of lie, for that little bit of lie. Now remember, examine everything you eat, whether it's by hearing, whether it's by whatever you're watching, whatever it is, relationship, just examine everything that you're eating. Because remember when Jesus asked his disciples, he asked them, who do they say I am? And they started saying, you're the prophet, you're this, you're that, whatever it is. And Jesus at the end said, but who do you say? But who do you say I am? Because he's interested in your personal experience with him. He didn't say, not what your pastor says, not what your wife, not what your best friend says. He says, who do you say I am? That's fine that they say I'm a healer. That's fine that they say that I provide. But who do you say I am to you? Who am I to you? Am I your healer? Am I your provider? Am I your all? Or am I your pastor's healer? Am I your pastor's all? See, that experience has to be so personal, but that only starts happening when you begin to examine everything that you're being taught. It doesn't matter who, it doesn't matter if it's me, it doesn't matter if it's the president, it doesn't matter. Take it up with God. Because the way you learn in a relationship is not by reading, it's by spending time, quality time, one-on-one time. And remember, the devil will try to pervert you. He will try to pervert the truth so you can just toss it all out. Because we all know that in this life, you are going to need finances, you are going to need healing, and God provides all that in His kingdom. And the devil's trying to pervert it because he's trying to maintain the eagle on the floor walking when you were meant to fly. So remember, examine everything. Now, I'm not saying don't listen to your pastor. I'm saying examine everything that you are given. Take it up with God first. This is a one-on-one relationship. Not dependent. The Bible says that we only have one mediator to God, and that's Jesus. Not a preacher, not a pastor, not an evangelist, just Jesus. So remember, examine everything. Everything, even what I'm saying now. Examine it. Don't take it as truth. Take it up with God. Pray about it. Ask Him, and deepen your relationship with Him. Thank you guys for listening. You guys have a great day.